Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phi and this is Money Philosophy. Today we will first look at my financial projection for Tesla for Q3 2022. Then we're going to take a look at technical analysis. We will also want to project the entire year for Tesla in terms of vehicle delivery and the earnings per share. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am a growth stock investor and a trader, and I'd love to share with you my investing and trading journeys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So before we get started, I would like to announce and share with you guys that we have a brand new Instagram page, and this has nothing to do with stock tradings or investing in the stock market, but it is related to our short-term rental business. We have 2 vacation homes near national parks that are offered for short-term rentals on the Airbnb platform. So the first home is located near Zion National Park in southern Utah. It is about 40 minutes outside of Zion National Park. It is located on a golf course, Copper Rock Golf Course, beautiful golf course in southern Utah. And it is a vacation home that we've been thoroughly enjoying over the last few months. We thought that we'd share this with our YouTube subscribers as well. And if you guys are interested in traveling to Zion National Park, feel free to mention Money Philosophy in your inquiry and I will give you guys a 10% discount. The second property is located here in Southern California near Joshua Tree National Park. Both properties we love very much and we'd love to share with you guys. So just mention Money Philosophy in the inquiry if you're interested in these Airbnb, and we will be happy to extend a 10% discount for you guys for any stay from now until April. So let's get back into Tesla. So let's dive right into the projection. So on the right hand side here, I have raw data based on historical record. I'm going to start with revenue segments and then vehicles delivered, margin, operating expenses, and net income. So all of these are based off of past earnings report. So there's nothing amazing there. We already know all of these numbers. For vehicles delivery, I added my projection for Q4 in here. More on that later, but basically this is a historical record of all vehicles delivered for Tesla, including Q3 was actual numbers. Q4 is my estimate. And so you can see here, the trend line is pretty promising between the various quarters here, and Q4 is usually the most amazing Q for the year. So that's where I added my projection here. It is a very conservative projection in all honesty. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This is my margin. Again, data based off of historical record, operating expenses, and net income. So with all of that information combined, I come up with the historical income statements here that includes net income. This is GAAP net income with operating income, gross margin, and so on and so forth. Then from that, I project revenue for the quarter. In this case, I have Q3 and Q4 projected out. I do take a look at Q4, although I do think that it is more accurate closer to Q4 once we understand Q4 performance a little bit better. But I usually look at 1 year out in advance, so I like to project a few quarters out, including Q4 in this case. So based off of this projection, my Q3 automobile revenue projection is 19.6 billion with the overall total revenue of 21.3 billion. And this is based off of the average selling price of 57,000. 57,000 was achievable in Q2 already, so I'm just benchmarking off of that. Even though a lot of people could argue that Tesla has been raising prices consistently, so this is not unexpected. And if anything, this is a fairly conservative numbers. So Q3 vehicles delivered was actual number, which is 343,800 vehicles with the average selling price of 57,000. That's how I got to my automobile revenue there. From there, I added just $500 extra for Q4 average selling price, with the total number of vehicles delivered would be 429,000. So let me go back here for a moment. Q4 is usually the most and the best performing quarter. So in my opinion, this is actually a conservative estimate, given that Austin and Berlin would ramp up really well into Q4. I think Q4 has potential for major surprise. Q2 represent an unconventional dip, as we know, but it picked right back up in Q3, and I think Q4 will surpass all expectation. Once again, I think this is a very conservative numbers, but I do want to put a number that is conservative here so we can see the type of earnings per share that Tesla could get to. These up until this point, they're still just historical, and the revenue here is projected for just revenue without expenses. So on this page, I added my expense projection in here. We have, in my estimate, Q3 2022, we have a gross profit of 28.5% with 21.3 billion total revenue. 6 billion in gross profit. This is not unheard of. In Q1 of 2022, Tesla actually achieved 29.1% in gross profit margin. So 28.5 is actually fairly conservative. And as you can see in my Q4, 29% is fairly conservative as well. So for the rest of the expenses, I just add almost either same as last quarter or some of the minor adjustment here. I added a little bit for tax provision as Q3 and Q4. We tend to have better information on tax provision, and the tax payments or estimates could tend to rise up. So this is increased a little bit, but it's still very small in the grand scheme of things. With that, I have a pre-split Q3 earnings per share at $3.65. Post-split, that number would be $1.22. I wanted to do my entire year pre-split first so we can get to a pre-split numbers uniform with Q1 and Q2, and then adjust it for post-split later. So with my Q4 conservative estimate, as you saw, my pre-split earning per share would be almost $14, and my post-split earning per share is $4.65. Now, for tomorrow, we only care about Q3 estimate and not Q4, so I just want to focus on this particular row here, row 25. I know it's really dry just looking at Excel spreadsheet, but I love Excel spreadsheets, so I hope that you guys will bear with me so far. So to summarize, Q3 estimates that I have here is total revenue 21.3 billion, gross profit 6 billion, gross profit margin 28.5 billion, operating income at 4.28 billion, roughly 20.1% in operating margin, which is pretty good and slightly increased from Q1. Again, I'm comparing with Q1 for the most part because Q2 we had a dip in delivery numbers that could cause the lower operating expense here. With Tesla highly profitable model, the more vehicles sold, the more vehicles it delivered, the better off the margin would be. And net income is 3.8 billion and 18% in net income percentage. This gets us to $3.65 in pre-split earnings per share, or $1.22 in post-split earnings per share. Overall, for the entire year, we should be looking at close to about $14 per share pre-split or $4.65 post-split. Once again, I added Q4 so that we can see perspective for the entire year and not just Q3. All right, it's time for technical analysis here. Today does not seem to be an excellent day for Tesla. Tesla is showing a very similar to dark cloud cover pattern here, with yesterday being a green and today being a red like this. It is definitely a sign of bearishness. However, we are heading into earnings, so technical analysis might not necessarily be important at this point. What matters were the numbers that I just showed you and how Tesla is going to surprise everyone with good margin for this quarter. But still, looking at this chart, we still have about half an hour out until the market close. Tesla is trading at 97%. So we're expecting Tesla to close at around 110 to 120% in volume. That is understandable given that it is one day before earnings announcement. Overall, the market seems pretty positive today, although the retracement from an opening gap this morning wasn't ideal. Let's take a look at the hourly chart for Tesla. So once again, Tesla started with the high pivot point. The top pivot point for today was 229. It started there and pre-market and then start to move down, consolidating right around $216 range, which is the mid pivot point. These pivot points are pretty important for day-to-day trading, although they're not as important for long-term shareholders. For tomorrow, the trading session before earnings announcement, the top pivot point is 234, the middle pivot point is 222, and the bottom pivot point is $214. Right now, the really strong support is at 215. Tesla is also trading right around between the middle pivot point and the support point here. I don't see Tesla going all the way down beyond 215 tomorrow, but we'll have to see. With good earnings anticipation, I think Tesla could potentially reach 234 tomorrow, if not more. Earnings announcement will take place right after trading, so I will be looking out for that. I will most likely join Rob Maurer for the earnings estimate. I really like his analysis, his neutral perspective, neutral, bullish bias, obviously, but his demeanor is always very neutral. I really enjoyed that. But once I finish listening to the call, taking notes, I will be turning on over to Stephen Mark Ryan channel to hear all of his sarcastic comment. So that's my plan for tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed the technical analysis so far, but usually leading into earnings, especially the day or two before that, technical analysis is not super important. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. So here's the weekly chart. It is pretty much still in the consolidation zone right around $215, which is a support line. I mentioned in my last video that 182 is a very strong support. Tesla has not reached that level in recent history, but it could potentially get there right after earnings if Tesla somehow, some way has any kind of guidance that could be negative to the market. Now, long term, we all know, if you are a Tesla bull, we all know that Tesla has a lot of good potential in the future. 182, if it ever gets there, would be a phenomenal opportunity to buy. I personally hope that it won't get there, but there's a possibility. You never know with the market, and the sell off right after earnings is probably normal. On the other hand, if Tesla knocks everyone out of the park, I can see Tesla spike vigorously within the first 2 hours of Thursday trading. It could potentially get back to around 255, especially if it ends the day at around 234 tomorrow. There is right now a tiny gap from 255 to 264. It could easily fill this gap tomorrow. On Thursday, if Tesla trades really well on Thursday after earnings result. So it all depends on the type of announcement that Tesla will be providing and the guidance for the rest of the year in order to anticipate whether Tesla will move up or down. So hopefully Tesla will have a chance to spike higher, fill this gap, and then in the subsequent days, Tesla could potentially move back down a little bit. To get back to bullish territory, Tesla needs to get to above both 50 days SMA and 200 days SMA. Right now, that is around $286. Quite a bit away from where it's at right now, but I do think that Tesla could get there by the end of the year, if not more. And especially end of the year earnings announcement will be pretty phenomenal. But unfortunately, we won't see the price action to change accordingly but unfortunately, the price action doesn't necessarily follow any excellent results. And if anything, price action won't reflect until January when the earnings result is announced. For right now, Tesla is still in bearish territory. Today's sell volume is higher by a lot compared to buy volume. Sell volume is probably 80 to 90% compared to buy volume. Yesterday, on the other hand, with the bullish price action, a lot of folks were buying. I'm guessing that there are a lot of trading activities going on between yesterday and today. Whoever bought yesterday wanted to sell today to capture that short-term profit. As a shareholder, I am looking to buy more Tesla if it gets to below $215. So this is it for this video. I hope you find the information helpful. Comment down below if you like my projection, if you disagree with my projection. I've had listeners over the years disagree with my projection and or point out anything that you might think to be incorrect in my projection. I am learning a lot from all of you guys, and I know that this Tesla community has been exceptionally phenomenal in my YouTube career so far. So I look forward to your feedback, and until the next video, bye.